here?
This is Dumbarton Lane, and we've been in there 6 years last March. And it's so quiet. You wouldn't think so with the traffic. But that is, you know, we don't hear a lot, do we?
No.
Everybody thinks how quiet it is, and I always want one. I wish I could sort of take one out of my pocket and give it to them. It's pretty awful, really, because there was 3 people, 3 families.
Yeah.
So I was on my own, and they were all down to have the prefab, you know, if they wanted it. And I was the top of the list. So Jada came with me, and as soon as I walked in, it wasn't very nice at the time. The kitchen was all metal, and everything, as you know. And I said, no, they're going to be unlucky, I'm having this. And it's been lovely. I was on my own then, and I've got a 3-bedroom house for a big family. So it was quite easy to get this. I don't think I'd get one now so easily. Not 2 bedrooms.
Very popular.
Not the way the council goes, no. They're lovely to decorate, they're cosy, you know? Well, so it's easy to get someone to decorate it. It's easy, well, everything is sort of, I don't explain it really. You explain it.
How can I explain it? I think it's got something to do with the past.
Yeah.
And having lived in one in the 50s and early 60s, and they are easy to maintain. There's just enough space for 2 people. Mum's here on her own, so there's plenty of space. Everything is convenient. It's warm. It's pretty economical to run in terms of heat, light, all the utilities. It's in an area that's quiet, as Mum suggests. There's no problems in this area. It's convenient to get to. You've got a nice plot of land, which the prefab is situated on, for sitting out, and that makes it very attractive as a package.
Well, it's just what you offered when you've been on the list for long enough, and it wasn't really nice where you were. It was sort of a bit crowded. So we got this, and I thought it was like a rabbit hutch when I first saw it. The paint was peeling off, and they'd only been built 8 years. And but now they've made them so really lovely. It was nice, we were right down the corner.
It was a perfect position, yes.
And it's not nice now because it's a square, whereas Jada used to play with the other children. It's a square with a big path all the way around. And
yes, we did just quickly go by, and I explained that. The big difference, of course, was nearly everybody there was young, with children. Of course, the difference now is the more older generation are now using them, and not the youngsters.
That's all been concreted over, and all the vans and cars.
Well, it was just the odd horse and cart occasionally, wasn't it?
Oh no, I had my first lot of coal delivered by hand cart, and they had a ton from right across the lawn, like grass, into putting off. That was lovely though, and the fire. Difficult to start, mind you, you know.
Obviously we had a bath because these were very well appointed for their time, with the conveniences of built-in cupboards, and it's quite amazing, quite forward-looking. But it used to get so damn cold, and you'd end up having a bath in a galvanised tin bath in front of the fire because that's the only way you could keep warm.
That was the days of the paraffin heaters.
Yes.
You used to have one in the hall working all the time.
I know. Very cosy. As a boy, I mean, there was just so many children here. You'd go out to play, and of course in those days your parents didn't really know where you were. You just left in the morning and turned up for meals.
Well, that was safe out
there. And it was like that for years, and it was a wonderful place to grow up until I was 9, and it was I couldn't have had more friends and so many safe areas to play. It was an idyll, really.
Yeah.
And of course I knew nothing else. I moved into this prefab when I was 4 months old. I didn't know there were any other places to live. In those days, you kept fairly close to where you lived. So all my friends lived in prefabs, and I've been in many of them. And so that's what occurred. And then obviously it all changed when we moved away. But you were in and out of other people's prefabs. More, that doesn't really happen anymore. Life has changed. And yes, I know I as a boy was in and out of other people's prefabs all the time. And then we had very good friends close to where we lived in Inverness Road, and we were in and out of houses all the time, weren't we?
Yeah.
When you think about it, there was much more community, but then the whole population was more community minded in that era. This is when mostly you were with your neighbours or your family, whereas today you're seldom with your neighbours, and to be honest, you don't see your family in the way you used to. I say they can't last forever. They have done so far. But yes, there was that threat. Actually, it must have gone away because they've spent so much money on renovating them. The roof's been done since my mum has been here.
That was last year.
Yes, so they've spent locally a lot of money. That's right.
Insulation everywhere. When we first came to the prefab, in the kitchen, the first thing, this side near the window, was a refrigerator. It didn't go, but later on they went and made them all work. Then there was a sink and a cupboard underneath. The next thing was a copper. But with the thing down, you must know this, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you just turn the tap on, and it was brilliant. It was nappies, you know. I didn't have these disposable ones in those days.
For their time, they were brilliantly modern when they were put up.
Yeah.
But they really thought about it, whoever designed them.
And outside, right here, there was a big lawn, right to the end of the prefab. And we had another one up. There was a path, and then we had another small one.
Yeah. 3
and
lawns.
one out the front.
Yeah.
And because there was such a big garden, my husband put it in plots, and with grass paths in between, and it looked really nice.
We grew, as you said, we were almost self-sufficient, really.
Yeah.
The vegetables my
Well,
father
what with that and
grew.
3 tons of manure,
Yeah.
we had things got really big.
It was, I loved
Yeah,
it.
it was brilliant.
It was, as I say, an idyll, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got lovely memories from that time. And when the ice cream van come up 3 times a day.
Oh, we nearly had, in those days, to get a television signal, you had to, because of where we are in those days, the lack of technology, we had to have an aerial on a pole, a very, very tall pole.
Outside.
And one day it collapsed from the middle and overhung. And we were just sitting here waiting for it to fall onto the roof and possibly crush that side of the prefab. That was a pretty scary time, wasn't it? They had to, because, I mean, we're talking about the 50s. People didn't rush around fixing things, you know. So I can remember we sat there just waiting for it to fall. It was a bit odd, wasn't it? Really. And in the end, obviously, some guys turned up and we got it corrected. Yes, that's right.
I still think it was over £100 that
Really?
aerial.
Wow.
113, I think.
Good grief. Oh, and then we used to get bad winters and we couldn't open the door. You couldn't get in or out. The door would be iced up, and that was fun as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. You're out there with your carving knife trying to get the ice off, and gosh, we seem to have colder winters in those days. It's probably because we were in a prefab. It was freezing.
Well, when we first walked in here, they'd got those storage heaters. And there was one there. I don't know what they thought would do with the settee, because it's the only place you'd have a settee. There was one in each room, and they looked horrible. But they put gas central heating in for it and moved in, and stripped the kitchen out. I did that, and also made a wet room, which is very good. So I was really pleased with that. But we made our own parties, didn't we?
Yes.
Then you were a bit young. I mean, you'd be in the bedroom.
It's surprising when we all had large families in those days, and I said that in those days family was more important to you than friends were, really. And although that's changed now, in many respects, but the number of people that my mum and dad entertained in the prefab, 20 plus people, and they're all in these small areas, and we did it.
Yeah,
It was great,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was
And
surprising
sometimes
what
we'd
you
keep-
can do in a small
put them up
space.
at night, or if we went.
Yes.
And that was nice.
Because, to be honest, life was so different then. I didn't know it any different, and it wouldn't occur to me, or really any of my friends, to even consider where you lived or what or how you lived. It just, that's something for now, I think, something that's developed over the decades, and
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
people are much more aware now of where they live, where others live. That some people are rich, some people are less rich, but in those days it just wasn't an issue that I can recall as a boy. I just can't recall that you went round to somebody's to play and they might have had a lovely house, but that isn't really what you were focused on. You were just focused on having good fun and playing, as we called it in those days.
You got a comfortable home. What else do you want really that time?
Indeed, and it was all to do with personality and who you were, not at all where you lived or how you lived. And as I say, I always fall back on the fact that I knew nothing else anyway. Given how desperately short we are regarding housing in this country now, I'm quite surprised that they haven't fallen back on this old, tried, tested and successful idea of putting up prefabricated accommodation. It begs belief really that there should be this problem when there is a solution sitting on the shelf that could be used.
Absolutely.
But no, they have to build brick houses that take forever, need much more land,
I know.
cost so much more to erect,
Yeah.
whereas they could be putting these up,
Absolutely.
and how popular I suspect they would be.